This day 1698 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Today we're doing Chosh and Mishpat, Simon Reis Hamathalit, Sif Yud Zayin, to Reis Hamachei, Sif Beis. Yud Zayin. B'zel Shan Rambam V'Atur for Shulchan Aruch. Haya Zeh Baba Kachos Bash. One person was coming with his jug of honey. Zeh Baba Kanim Reikim. This person was coming with empty jugs. He's not kind of bash, and the jug of honey cracked. Funny back on Kanim, and the owner of the empty jug said, "Any matzil the chod vash and Kani, not saving your honey in my jugs. Actually, shlish, unless it can be half or a third of your honey. Okach v'kach norm such and such amount of money. The kibel about the vash, the owner of honey accepted it, and said yes. Raised the slachabo. He was just laughing at him. So I'm not sure the right translation in this case, but. He was not serious. He only gives him amount of money which is appropriate. Because he doesn't call him a loss. This is simple extortion. Somebody fled from the prison of some bandits, and there was a ferry boat in front of him. He said to the ferryman, Habi Rainy, take me across the river of Anino, I'll give you a dinner, and he took him across, and the dinner was an astronomical amount of money for this purpose. He only gets the appropriate payment. He was a hunter and lay, but Habi Rainy. If the ferryman was a hunter, and he said to the ferryman, stop pursuing your nets and take me across, then you give everything which you stipulated. Anything similar. Is derived. Even if the person who initiated the negotiation was not the person who was going to do the saving, but the person who had to be saved said, I'll give you such and so much. This can be appropriate fee, appropriate compensation. Who needs to have a chalitza, and the Yom does not want to do chalitza, unless she promises a lot of money, and she promised him, and he did chalitza, ain't no sense, lo klum. She doesn't give him anything, which goes on, evidence as a Simon's Kuf Samachtes. Yudches, Kosar Rabbeinu Beisayz. Beisayz writes a man, maybe he didn't give him the money. Maybe he gave him the money. He can't get the money back. The person say, give the money to a third party. He said the third party, when he saves, he give it to him, and the guy did save. The third party has to give it to the person who did the saving. I've been low, but didn't say that to the third party. But rather, the person doing the saving not want to save until such and so much money is given to a third party. And he did this. But the person who was being saved did not say anything. When he gives the money to the third party, only give him according to his efforts. The third party only releases the sums, which are the appropriate compensation. You test. Some say that which he only gets the appropriate compensation. Which people don't normally give a lot of money. But something where people do normally give enough money, such as when they need somebody to deal with the demons, which are require esoteric rituals, or for that matter, for normal medical procedures. You have to give no matter whatever you stipulate. There's specifically about the payment for telling you what medicine to pursue. This is from the wisdom of the doctor. I don't sell my wisdom for less. But if the doctor demanded higher payment than is appropriate for this medicine, and this person who was suffering on account of his compelling dire circumstances, the compelling circumstances had to make a promise, you should not give more afterwards than is appropriate. And he promised a shadchan or a broker more than the appropriate compensation. Because our mother writes, he only gets what's appropriate, even though he stipulated to give him a lot of money. Those who argue. Yam Shloima. Yes, in some say makom sheish shadchanos so it's kitzva ein lo ela mechakotzuv. They'll say where shadchanos and brokerage have a specific set fee. That's all he gets. Makom shein kitzva, but there's no set fee. No amount you have to give whatever you promise. It's a shach. Any place you don't have to give whatever you promised. Avi naslo mashkon. I was even you gave collateral for this exorbitant sum. Ain't no clue, it's nothing. The money ain't come, mashkon ain't gone. There's no money, no collateral. It's true. Also, he gave documents. This says in brackets, achronim. I keep a bikini, but if he was makabo bikinian, if he did the bikini with a transaction like with the Khalifin, so you have to fulfill whatever you made a kinyan upon, whether it's shadchanos, other brokerage, or any optional activity. But by a mitzvah, such as came back a little subject, but it's good for a moment saving his body or his money. And so kind of feel the kinyan, you don't have to do it even if you made a kinyan. I guess if the other guy is supposed to do a mitzvah on your behalf, that's in the sifas. The only exceptions are where you actually already gave the money or you gave it to a third party. And with an uncommon transaction where there was a broken promise to a lot, so you have to fulfill your promise. If it's an uncommon transaction, there are no set sums. No set what's the word? Commissions. It should be everything, even prevalent things. If you took an oath or gave a handshake to fulfill that which you promised as brokerage, you have to fulfill it. That's the case. If this is to a poor person, you have to no matter what, even without a shavua or a handshake, even without oath or handshake, the naseh keneder is a promise to a poor person, but it automatically becomes like a vow. It's also in the case. Chavav. Reuven promised Shimon to make efforts on his behalf in some commercial activity for free. And the matter was almost completely finished. Now Reuven reneges and wants compensation. Shimon tells that Shimon had expenses. And he was compelled to pay this compensation for the deal to go through. And then afterwards, somehow, Shimon got money from Reuven. He wants to impede that money in his hands. But he says that Reuven took that money inappropriately, but Shimon was compelled to go acquiesce. I didn't Reuven, who feels he was cheated. It's not comparable to hiring workers where workers reneged and you need to rehire them, or you can hire against their wages or trick them coming back to work for you. There you hire them for compensation, and they were required to do the work. But this person, I made a mistake. No, I need to go back a line. Hadinim Reuven. I was like Reuven, even though he extorted this this brokerage, he gets to keep it. Shimon has to get back whatever money he's holding of Reuven's. It's not like that case, where you can trick the Paulim into either keeping their money or deducting against their wages, whatever. There you hire them for compensation. And they were supposed to have to do the work. But Reuven was doing it for free. He wasn't not required to follow through. But through him, Shimon spent money on the deal. Shimon should have realized. Maybe Reuven was going to ask for compensation for also. You shouldn't spend money. The uninsighted it's clear to us We testify that he was compelled to give whatever he gave to Reuven. Logar mi moicha shav she'onus is no different than a seller in a regular case who's compelled to sell of a mashanasan lo in what which he gives him. Shav she'onus ein lo tainis. Sorry. Onus ein lo tainis einus. He has no complaint. We can't claim that. So I'm assuming Reishay. A time they shekilo toiva, and the reason is because he received the benefit. The seller got the money. Here too, Shimon got a benefit. Furthermore, he wasn't really compelled. Reuven didn't compel him to give him money. Reuven said, I'm not going to give him, I'm finished. It went as far as I'm going to go. And Shimon felt compelled on this account to give him whatever he asked. Have a good sin. It's his own self-compelling. Love honest, he wasn't compelled by Reuven. Because of Dafka Shulchan, it's only where Reuven now want to complete the transaction. That's what Shimon had to pay him. I'm Reuven, but I'm sorry, Shimon no longer needed Reuven's efforts. But I said, about so Shimon couldn't complete the transaction on his own. We wanted to ruin the deal. Moses Shimon not give him money. In that case, the law is on the side of Shimon. He has to give back whatever he took. That's absolute theft. And it says nearly in the brackets. Same thing, they agree on a certain amount of compensation. In the middle of the deal, Reuven said, I'm not going further unless you add on to my compensation. Then, that's like the worker who in the middle of the job. That you can hire other workers in his account or trick him to getting back to work. Story happened with Reuven, who demanded Shimon to give him $10, which he was promised because he spoke to the official on his behalf. Shimon said, sure, I promised you. But it was because of kind of fear. I was afraid that you're going to ruin my deal. I was compelled to promise you, but there was no kinyan. The post can say he has to give it to him. It's like a worker where it doesn't require kinyan to once you hire him. That which Shimon says he did it only on account of fear. That's his personal perspective in his heart. Environment, whatever's in the heart is not unless stipulated, it's not considered to be meaningful. He's insane. It's on witnesses that that's his what he's doing. So it goes Mordechai. Shimon came and ate him. In fact, Shimon sent from witnesses. Shimon on account of his fear, he was compelled to promise him this compensation. Exempt from paying him. Unless the Reuven did him some benefit in the matter, then he has to pay. Then Shimon has to pay according to whatever benefit was accomplished, according to the estimate of those who are conversant in these matters. Should not take compensation on giving back a lost object. Lost object, has give back for free. If he doesn't have any work to be doing. I'm always in his work. He's not required to desist from his own personal work. Unless she will give back the lost object for free. When it's not based on coming like we wrote in previous simon. However, he was involved in his work. If he tells Malachto, he stopped doing his work. If he gave back the lost object, the owner of the lost object not to have to give him compensation according to the amount of work which and the actual wages which he lost. Chazal say they pay him according to the rate of an idle worker of that type of work from which he has been which he had to stop doing in order to give the lost object back. It means to say, let's say his work was such that at the time he was involved in giving back the lost object, he could have made a dinner. and he desisted from his work to give back the lost item, which was worth much more. Nevertheless, the owner of the lost object does not give him the dinner he lost, and he gives him compensation. What the compensation he would take for that time in which, had he been working, he would get a dinar. If he doesn't have to work, in his to toil in his work, just sit idle. If he would take a chatzi dinar in order to not do rather than do work, to sit idle, he gets to have a dinner. Because giving back lost object does not have the same type of toil and effort like malacha. He never take more for restoring lost object than you would than the amount of work which you when you get it from. What about the efforts you made in getting back lost object? We don't consider compensation for this. The Torah compelled you to do this activity and give back lost object. You would base. Some say this means we do think out the amount of effort you had to put into giving back the lost object. Pushing kapol bata, so what do I mean kapol bata? Who, like an idle worker, who it's how much he would be willing to take to desist from his own work and be involved in giving back the lost object. So let's say they were involved in work for which they would pay him for dinner. And if he was completely idle, to remain idle completely, and afterward he would lop off the top 3 parts of the profit, and be happy with the dinner. And if they would tell him, well, we're not going to let you off the completely, you have to do a light work, such as giving back a lost object, and so Shtei would say, okay, I'll do it for 2 dinner. So they don't say to him, so to give him 2 dinner. It's not compensation for giving back lost object. To on the contrary, he's losing. He lost 2 dinar. Nevertheless, we estimate what the fact that he was not toiling in his own work. And if the toil of giving back the lost object is more than he would have made in his work, and so they give him whatever he lost from his work, the lower amount. He's not going to shouldn't make money on account of giving back the lost object. Which you're allowed to take compensation for giving back the lost object. It's when the owner's not there and you restored the object on your own initiative. But if the owner is there, he didn't stipulate with him. You called yourself a loss. You only get like a worker who's completely idle, like the first interpretation. And not whatever he would want to take in order to go the effort of giving back lost object. This is also true. Really, according to the letter of law, he shouldn't get anything. Because he didn't make a stipulation with the owner who was there. And but we assess, then we assume that the intent of the owner of the lost object was he is willing to give him, certainly willing to give him the amount that he would take to be idle. Therefore, in the previous simon, when we talk about saving a friend's donkey, we say when the owner is there, you take the compensation for the effort invested in the saving. We don't take into account the loss of the donkey at all. There we suggest that this is certainly more agreeable to the owner. To Harbe Pochas it's a lot loss than what he would lose than the value of the loss of his donkey. That's from the Sma, and that's it for today.